how are you? I am so excited. Today, I'll tell you the whole story. So on Thursdays, which you won't necessarily see this on a Thursday, but currently in our household, Thursdays is a meat day. We have recently been on a plant-based diet experience, sort of an experiment for us, but we have a bunch of really amazing meat in our freezer from our family's farms, and so obviously we don't want that to go to waste. So on Thursdays, we've been doing some sort of hamburger-based dish. Today, it's just straight up hamburgers and tater tots, which I won't show you. Everybody knows how to make hamburgers and tater tots. However, I will tell you, if you're making your own hamburgers, Hidden Valley Ranch seasoning in a packet to 1 or 2 pounds of hamburger, people will always rave about that anytime. I don't have that on hand today. I'll be doing some standard salt, pepper, maybe Worcestershire, parsley, that kind of thing. But in addition to that, because we still need vegetables and all that jazz and beautiful colors on the plate, I am working again from the Flavor Forks and Knives Cookbook, and I am making this Fattoush, a Lebanese bread salad, which you can kind of see the picture there. Now, the thing is, I have a gluten sensitivity, so I don't have the pita bread. So if you were doing that part, you would get some pita, stick it in the oven at 350 until it gets crispy. We're just gonna do the vegetable aspect of that, especially because we're having burgers and fries. We don't need all that other jazz. So I think I have shown this to you before. I happen to have a plastic lettuce knife that I got from a family member, and it's supposed to keep lettuce from browning. I honestly don't even know if it matters in our household. Like, we eat everything so quickly, it's unclear that we even need to worry about it turning brown. But these are romaine lettuces that I have washed and cut off the ends, so everything that's here is ready to go. If you were super busy and felt like this is a deal breaker, you could buy it pre-chopped in a bag. I'm not the biggest fan of bag lettuces. I do get them from time to time, but I tend to feel like you can taste the bag somehow, or maybe the preservative that they've put in it. I'm not sure, but it just doesn't always taste the same. So there are, like, occasionally if I get a Brussels sprout cabbage, I don't necessarily have that same feeling, but do what you need to do. That is the big thing. You're going to hear me say that over and over because I've been through all of it. I was thinking about this recently. There have been times when I've said to myself, we're never going to cook with rice again. We're going to only use quinoa because quinoa is the most amazing thing in all the world. And then I discovered black rice, for instance. So also, friends of mine pointed out that eat rather healthy, that a little bit of like a break to your digestive system, not always putting things in that have to be digested so intensely, can be useful. So, do I love quinoa? Yeah. It's got a ton of protein in it. It can really blend into a lot of stuff. I think when prepped right, it's great, but I now also do keep rice on hand. So my point is, you go through seasons. Also, I was thinking a little bit this morning. I talked to you guys a lot about my kids and how I'm doing things to try to help them eat this food. It may give you the impression that my kids eat this food really well and happily. Not always. So, sometimes it takes them a little longer. I've mentioned that I give them extra carb, like extra rice, that I put extra dressing on their stuff. I do things to try to make it easier for them. But they're not always like, yay, thanks, Mom, for this super nutritious meal. Some of them, but not all of them. Okay, so we've got our lettuce. Tomato. I think I've brought up these bags before. This is a reusable bag. You can buy it at a grocery store. You can buy it online. It just zips up. So I have a bunch of bags that I'll stick in one. And you can throw stuff in there, close it, and it's way better anyways than having to mess with all that plastic. Your food stays better in something that's more like this. And I don't know, it holds more. The plastic that you get at the store, it breaks. Like, you put a sweet potato in there or even a zucchini, anything with a little bit of a point, and that thing's like, I can't handle myself. So I'm really for the reusable bags. I totally wish I would have done it sooner. When I did go ahead and do it, I bought like 12, and I think there's been one time that I went through all 12 of them, including like buying my fresh herbs and stuff. So this is a large tomato that I am dicing. You could also do, what does it say, 2 medium tomatoes. Not every child in my house likes tomato, so I try to be mindful of that when I'm serving them and maybe give them only 1 piece of tomato, or if I can manage it, no tomato at all, right? So they probably would tell you, my mom is making me eat this horrible food. I am trying to work with them. And to be fair, when I was a kid, I hated tomatoes. I liked tomato sauce, I liked ketchup, but even on like a melt, it wasn't until I was like 18 that I started to develop an appreciation for tomatoes. So, trying to keep that in mind. If you are working with little ones, we don't shelter them from healthy food, but we don't give them all the same stuff. A cucumber. You can get all kinds of cucumbers. This particular recipe calls for 2 Persian cucumbers or 1 English hothouse cucumber. I'm just going to give it a quick rinse. So feel free to come on over with me. A lot of times people might feel like if they pull their produce out of a bag that it's good. In my experience, it goes either way. When I'm dealing with a large vegetable like this, I like to cut it into some smaller parts. So now I have some flat ends to work with. I cut it in half, I give it a turn, I cut it in half again, and then I can like set those into 4 flat parts, and then I can just go down the line very quickly. And again, if one gets cut a little more than another, I don't worry about it. But those are reasonable sized pieces. There's so many ways that you could do it though. You could keep it round and slice on an angle. That's really beautiful. In this house, we're sort of working for bite-sized pieces that little mouths can navigate. We're very fortunate. Most of our kids say yes to cucumber. Every child with a baby. So I can put cucumbers in lunches. And they're a light vegetable. They don't taste heavy or whatever. But all that introduction, as much as I possibly can, to different types of foods, keeping life interesting for myself. All the kiddos love pickles. So we have kids that really like strong tastes as well. So this is the last bit of this. And essentially I'm just making a nice large salad. The recipe also calls for a half of a small red onion sliced. You could also do scallion, which I think is a little bit gentler of a flavor. I'm not going to do anything because I think I would send my kids over the edge. So this next part is a 4th cup of fresh mint. So mint, you guys, so amazing. If you've not worked with it, it's really good, by the way, in smoothies. Over the summer, I was doing a mint with lemon, some avocado, fresh greens. I think there was pineapple in there. So good. The stem is a lot to chew, so I tend not to utilize that part. So I'm ripping the stem off, and it calls for a 1/4 cup. I think my reality is that I have nothing else to do with this mint beyond this salad. So I'm going to go ahead with this small amount. Probably most of us know mint in the form of, say, a mojito. But it is utilized in numerous ethnic dishes. So I'm going to gather my leaves, if you can kind of see what I'm doing there. And you want a reasonably sharp knife, but it's sort of this rocking motion. And honestly, cutting fresh herbs is where I tend to cut my fingers off because I'm working to keep everything really tight and not cut myself. But once I get to that point, I can put my hand on top and go for a nice rocking motion on that mint to get it broken up. This calls for a finely chopped fresh mint. So how do you do that? Well, for one, you could put it in a food processor. There are people, though, that would tell you That's going to it's going to bruise your herbs. You don't necessarily want to bruise your herbs. So this is a better way to get in there. Just a quick rocking motion, your hands over the top so you're safe. Staying safe yourself is very important. And how do you know what finely chopped is? I think I can show you. So those are really tiny little specks in there. So once that feels finely chopped to you, I'm going to go ahead and brush that over the top. The finer you chop it, the more that a quarter cup would seem like not a lot, by the way. So that's something else to keep in mind. When I have all my herbs kind of big, it'll look like I don't have that much. Okay, so that's my mint. Parsley. So I haven't bought fresh parsley. I gotta clean my hands a bit because it tends to be like a small amount in one recipe and then nothing else. So I'm gonna use a little bit of dried parsley. I'm sure you can also buy parsley in the tubes if you're into that kind of a thing. It calls for a quarter cup of fresh, so I'll go for a tablespoon of dried. It's gonna add a little beauty to your salad. Ooh, I'm so excited about this next part. So we're using a za'atar seasoning. I have made za'atar from scratch a lot, but I tend to never have the sumac. So there's things like sesame seed, oregano, thyme, lemon peel, lemon oil, but there's a thing called sumac seasoning, which I think is like a lavender, which I never have on hand. So I, in a rare moment, found a za'atar blend at the store. So I've got that, and it calls for a tablespoon. So I'm just gonna get that ready. Sprinkle that over the top. It's gonna be a fresh salad, right? With all these herbs and whatnot. Then a medium clove of garlic minced, some salt and pepper to taste. Okay. The other day I made garlic. Sorry, I didn't make garlic. I made hummus. And it called for 2 probably small cloves of garlic, and I ended up having large cloves. And I thought, oh, what's the difference? Oh, let me tell you. Wow. That hummus makes my tongue tingle. So if it calls for 1 medium clove, do that. And it's supposed to be minced. So let's see. Here's my mincer. I have a drawer right in front of this cabinet. I keep all kinds of things in there for easy reach. So I'm also very short. Whenever I use a mincer, I have to get above my things. So I'm going to go ahead and squeeze that. It's not going to feel like much, but this is raw garlic that you're putting into a salad. That's going to be spicy. It's going to be potent all on its own. So leave that. And then the salt and pepper. So what I'm going to do, you don't need a ton of salt and pepper, but there's no actual dressing for this salad. So all of these things that you're adding are creating the flavoring. And in point of fact, we often think that we need dressing, and we just didn't know that we would like our food if we tasted it. So lemon juice. That's one more thing that I need to put in. How much lemon juice is it? 2 tablespoons. That's the other thing. It turns out that lemon juice is a great dressing. It's really underutilized. I remembered in the stores, eventually stores came out with some sort of a spritz for your salad. They were essentially doing this very thing. Oh, and I have 2 heads of lettuce. So I'm just going to give it a little extra lemon juice. So that's it. You toss this then. Actually, you know what I don't want to do is toss it with my hands. I don't have formal salad tongs. You would think somebody who cooks enough to be like, here, let me share what I do with the world would have salad. But I have a rice cooker spatula and probably a spatula that also came with the rice cooker. So you just toss it a bit. It's so pretty, so beautiful. I try not to over toss because I find that all that cucumber and tomato and stuff, all those seeds, they'll just like fall to the bottom, and then everybody will just be eating lettuce. So I try to toss it just enough, and then just know that it's gonna move around, it's gonna do its thing. So I'm making this salad far earlier in the day. This is a rare day in our family's life where we're not gonna eat in shifts, we're all gonna eat at once. And remember, if you were using the pita bread, that would be sprinkled on here as well. It would almost be like a crouton, giving it some extra crunch. But that's it, you guys. It's a beautiful salad with all those wonderful herbs just mixed in there. So that's the fattoush, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.